Today I will explain fast and easy how to start recording videos. And I'm going to make it as simple as possible that everyone would understand it. Before I start, I would like to thank my little son Christoph, who helped me so much making this video. Last week I gave a little workshop to my friend photographer about filmmaking, and she was so excited that I decided to make a little tutorial on the topic for everybody. This video is especially made for photographers, but anyone who wants to start with filmmaking is welcome. By the end of this very short tutorial, you will know how to set up your camera and how to start recording. That's what I promise. Good photographer should have good results very fast at filmmaking. Why? He knows his camera, he knows how to shoot in manual mode, and that means that he knows exposure triangle. And he should also know how to compose. He does not begin from scratch. Such a photographer has solid cornerstone on which he can build very fast. Shooting video is not difficult, there are just few key differences that we have to understand. Let's talk about them. It tells us how many pictures camera takes in 1 second. Your camera is set up to function in one of these two systems, and it directly influences frame rates that you can work with. If you are in PAL, you get these frame rates. If you find yourself in NTSC, it's slightly different. You set it up once and you may forget about it. Those two systems are related to different power frequency in different regions. The rule of thumb: if you live in US, set up NTSC. Otherwise, living anywhere else, go for PAL. Most of the movies are recorded in 24 or 25 frames per second. You probably know that we can shoot in 50 or 100 or even higher frame rates. But why would we do it? We choose the higher frame rates in case we want to slow down the footage. Let's say that you have shot 1 second in 50 frames. So you actually got 2 seconds in 25 frames. So you can slow it down and it will be still smooth. So which frame rate is the best for you? There are never-ending fights over this topic, and what I suggest, don't get involved and try the frame rates for yourself. Me personally, I began with 25 frames per second, and if I need to slow down the footage, I go for 50 or 100, and that's it. Now let's talk about resolution. If you have a camera that's able to record in 4K, I would definitely go for that, even though you export the footage in Full HD. It's good to have some reserve. You have free hands to crop in and still have good quality, and beyond that you can use different dynamic effects like this and still preserving good quality. As you can see, we got more options to choose from. So which one is the best for me? Least compressed codec with maximum quality is this one. And this is the most friendly codec to your computer when working in post. With this codec, you don't need the most up-to-date expensive computer. But on the other hand, you will need a lot of memory cards and a lot of space on your drives, because the file sizes are quite big. This one is the oldest and it's got the most compression. So the file sizes are not as big, but the footage may be difficult for older computers to handle. And this one is the one that I use. File size is not too big and it's easy to work with. Actually, I saw quality comparison of those three codecs, and I did not notice a difference. What is picture profile? Just to make it simple, understand profile as preset that influences character of your footage in terms of colors, sharpness, contrast. So which one to choose? I suggest just go through different profiles and choose the one that suits you the best. I have very good experience with Cinetone, and that's what I used before I started playing with S-Log with my Sony cameras. But especially at the beginning, I would avoid using any kind of log because it's quite complicated to expose properly. So just for now, stay with predefined profiles. 8-bit or 10-bit. Those values stand for color depth. 10-bit has got much more color information than 8-bit. Do we need 10-bit now at the beginning of your filmmaking career? I don't really think so, unless you plan to color grade your footage in post. Now exposure triangle. We all know it, right? But here comes the tricky part, because filmmaking has got different rules, and this is essential. You must understand how to set up your shutter speed. Shutter speed should be always double of your frame rate and never any shorter. Why? Because this way we can bring into our footage motion blur, which is essential and natural, and we are used to it. If we go for shorter times, then the footage is sharp and jittery, and it gets this electronic mobile phone character that we definitely don't want. Shutter speed is fixed, and we work just with ISO and aperture. I will show you a situation that you will face sooner or later. Sunny day, you are outside and want to take a video. You fix your shutter speed at 1/50th of a second because you shoot at 25 frames per second. You open wide your lens to get that beautiful bokeh in the shot, and you put your ISO as low as you can, and as expected, the footage is overexposed. Unwillingly, we decide to sacrifice the bokeh and we close the aperture, but even though it's close to the max, we are still overexposed. There is just a simple fix to it, and this is it. Absolutely essential tool for each video maker. ND filter. It's kind of light break. It blocks some amount of light coming through the lens. How much light? It depends on the density of the filter. Filters are labeled with numbers. The higher the number, the higher the density. I use variable NDs. It's more practical to me. I prefer carrying one over many. I put it on my lens, and by turning this little handle, I adjust the density so I get the amount of light on the chip that I need at the moment. This one is from Nissi and I love it. I don't need any other. Now we are almost ready to roll. By the way, if you like this fast and easy to follow approach, hit that subscribe button. I'll be really happy for that. To make it really simple, we differentiate basically in between two modes: manual focus and autofocus. When we shoot in manual mode, we are fully in control of focusing. When we use autofocus, camera is free to decide where to focus, and we have to tell the camera in which place in the frame it should be looking for focus. We can define the place by zone, for example. With my Sony camera, I can just move it around the frame and place it on the subject that I want to be in focus. And if the subject is moving, I select this focusing method, where C stands for continuous, and it means that the camera is focusing without any break, and if the subject moves, the focus follows the subject immediately, continuously. Hopefully. You should know your camera's focusing abilities, and if you know it's weak in focusing, then rather go for manual control. Good thing to set up is focus peaking, which is a tool that indicates where the camera is focusing with lines of different colors. And actually you can help yourself before you press record with autofocus. You may use it to pre-focus and then switch to manual mode to make sure that the focus does not move accidentally. Then start recording and keep the same distance from the subject, and you will stay in focus. I use autofocus with my Sony cameras a lot, but not every time. When I got one person in front of the lens facing the camera, I'm not afraid of autofocus at all. I use continuous autofocus in combination with eye or face detection. And even if the person moves, it's so reliable and convenient as well. If you don't want to end up with shaky footage, use tripod or gimbal. If you want to shoot handheld, switch on camera stabilization. It will crop in a bit, but it's absolutely worth it. And that's it. And now let's set up the camera together just to fix what we have just learned. I will demonstrate the settings on my Sony 6700, but it will be very similar across all camera brands. and at least now you know what to look for and what to change. I'm going to set up 25 frames per second because I don't need to slow down the footage. I select 4K resolution because I want as much as I can get from this camera. I choose picture profile 11 because that's where I get a cinetone, and I'm not planning to color grade this footage. I'm okay with 8-bit colors for the same reason. I fixed the shutter speed to 1/50th of a second because it's double of my 25 frame rate. Now it's just up to you to select appropriate focus mode and you may start recording. That's it. And if you found it helpful, stay in touch and follow our channel. There is much more coming. Hey!
Wait a minute.
In the next video, we are going to show you how to save all those settings to your camera preset that you wouldn't have to come back to it ever again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.